An emergency broadcast was issued, warning of the most dangerous viral threat in history sweeping across humanity. Armed forces faced catastrophic losses while attempting to halt this unfolding disaster. Society descended into chaos, with panic gripping every corner as people desperately fought against the apocalypse. In the shadows, the burning red eyes of a griffin lurked, ready to tear apart anyone daring to step close. Amidst the ruins, Oren and other survivors were struggling to survive day by day. However, the brutal reality was nothing like the novels Oren used to read. 3 days later, the ruined building stood as a testament to the collapse of civilization, a place where death was waiting. Oren sat quietly, chewing on each bite of food, trying to stay alive in the darkened room. Even though the world had perished, Oren kept telling himself that he was still alive. Curled up in the corner, Oren could clearly feel the crushing loneliness surrounding him. Oren sighed, sorrow seeping into every thought. The vast room was now left with only Oren, surrounded by trash and an eerie silence. Oren was the only one left in this 100 square meter apartment. It all stemmed from his father's decision to buy this place. His father had poured his entire 200 million won in savings, even borrowing another 200 million to own this property. It was only because of the mandatory 2-year residency required for tax benefits that Oren was trapped when the apocalypse struck. Oren scrolled through his phone in despair, letting out a bored sigh. Silence enveloped Oren. On the screen, the notification of no network connection left Oren stunned. Suddenly, a piercing screech echoed, making Oren jump in fright. Oren looked around in panic, unable to grasp what was happening. Strange creatures streaked across the sky at terrifying speed, leaving a menacing screech in its wake. Before he could regain his senses, a griffin smashed through the window, shattering all of Oren's hopes for safety. Oren tumbled backward, terrified by the appearance of the griffin. The griffin launched a lightning-fast attack, not giving Oren a second to breathe. Oren screamed in despair as he faced imminent death. The griffin's strike lunged forward, sweeping away everything in its path. The violent impact left Oren dazed, clutching his head in excruciating pain. A strange entity was attempting to intrude, its piercing screams echoing throughout the space. System activated the passive skill Ultimate Loner, creating a barrier to prevent any intrusion. Oren breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily, he was still safe. Oren stared at the floating system notification board, confusion clearly written on his face. Oren jumped to his feet, telling himself that everything was still under control. Oren understood clearly that this skill was the only reason he had survived until now. Oren tried to open the door, but in vain. The door was sealed shut by an invisible barrier. Refusing to give up, Oren lunged forward and used all his strength to push hard against the door. The door remained motionless, the electronic lock showing no signs of wavering. Oren kicked the door in frustration. He was completely helpless against the rules of this skill. 3 days had passed since Oren was imprisoned in his own home. Oren is deep in thought. This strange skill acts both as a shield and as chains keeping him tethered. Oren sits huddled in a dark corner, shadows engulfing the cramped space. A system notification pops up, reminding Oren of the restriction forbidding him from leaving his home. Oren smiles bitterly. The title of Supreme feels ridiculous given his current predicament. Oren pulls at his hair in frustration, the sense of confinement surging within his mind. Oren glances around, his eyes filled with anxiety. The biggest issue right now is that the food supply is running dangerously low. Oren stares at the last remaining food packets, knowing he cannot hold out much longer. With the power out since yesterday, the refrigerator has stopped working, making everything even worse. The freezer still holds a hint of chill, but the food will spoil soon without electricity. Oren bites his nails nervously. He is almost out of instant noodles. Suddenly, a sound rings out from the system, causing Oren to jump in surprise. The system notifies Oren that he has just defeated a level 23 Calican. Experience points pour in, and Oren's skill levels begin to rise. Oren stares at the notification panel in astonishment, not understanding what is happening. Oren stands up and moves toward the door with a skeptical look on his face. Outside, a griffin is brutally slaughtering a pack of Leor. Oren is shocked to realize the creature died right inside his home. Could this incident have been counted by the system as his own achievement? System notifications pop up continuously. A new skill has been unlocked, and dropped items have been detected and are being collected. A piercing shriek from outside makes Oren startle. What on earth is going on? Outside, the Leor are screaming in panic. Oren cannot help but wonder what has driven them into such a frenzy. The horrifying screams continue. The Leor are huddled together, seemingly facing a terrifying threat. Notification chime rings. The item collection process is complete, and over 2 million won has been credited directly to Oren's wallet. Oren turns around, surprise written all over his face as he notices unexpected changes in his living space. He doesn't understand what is happening. What could this change mean? A blinding beam of light suddenly erupts in the room. Oren can only gasp in amazement. Oren spins around, his eyes locked on the light source as it begins to stabilize. The power has returned. The passive skill-based declaration level 3 has been activated, establishing an absolute protective boundary for the house. The system continues to update. The passive skill lifestyle maintenance level 1 is now ready. Oren's wallet has reached its maximum level with a balance of over 2 million won. Could what is happening actually be real? He cannot believe his eyes. Can this skill truly restore all the functions of his home? Without hesitation, Oren rushes to the kitchen area to verify it. He tests it nervously, feeling as if everything is slowly coming back to life. Water flows strongly from the faucet, proof that the plumbing system is operational again. Next is the electric stove. The sound of the engine starting up rings out, filled with hope. Oren cannot hide his excitement. He exclaims in absolute happiness. He kneels down, cheering with joy as everything in the house returns to the state it was in before the world collapsed. If everything has been restored, perhaps his phone can be used as well. Oren rushes to check it, but the screen only displays a message saying the network is unavailable. Disappointment was clearly etched on Oren's face. Every attempt to connect had been in vain. He scratched his head in frustration, an overwhelming sense of helplessness filling the space. Suddenly, Oren froze as his gaze accidentally fell upon something on the floor. A USB drive lay there, emitting a strange glow amidst the pile of trash. Oren plugged the USB into his computer, and photos of a happy family began appearing on the screen one by one. The image of a mother tenderly holding her small child in her arms, a rare moment of peace in a turbulent world. A rare moment of peace where Oren and his family enjoyed happy times together. Laughter filled the air around a birthday cake as Oren celebrated a warm anniversary with his loved ones. But then, silence engulfed the room as Oren sat quietly in front of the computer screen, sinking deep into heavy contemplation. A heavy sigh escaped him. Oren seemed to be carrying an immense, invisible burden. Oren's gaze suddenly turned sharp with a strange blue glint. He was determined to bring his family back here at any cost. With firm footsteps, Oren moved forward. Nothing could stop his iron will now. Suddenly, a sound echoed, making Oren freeze in his tracks, his eyes widening in astonishment. The system activated the Recluse's shop feature, allowing Oren to purchase registered items at listed prices. Shop? Oren stood stunned before the notification panel that had just appeared right before his eyes. The Recluse's shop interface appeared, showing Oren's account balance at 2,203,239 won. The system prompted him, asking if Oren wanted to register his first item. A system interface pops up, activating the Tier 1 shop feature, allowing Oren to purchase registered items at retail prices. Oren stares at the notification panel thoughtfully, questioning the sudden appearance of this shop feature. Without hesitation, Oren gently taps the shop icon on the virtual screen with his finger. Oren's wallet info panel displays a balance of over 2 million won, ready for him to register his first item. The system prompts him, asking if Oren would like to register a new item. Oren realizes he can fully access and use the funds in his wallet to make transactions in the shop. Oren approaches the window, grabbing the railing with his hands, his eyes revealing a longing to step outside. Glowing red notification appears, confirming that Oren is forbidden from leaving the house, rendering all his efforts useless. Oren sighs in disappointment as he realizes that even though his skills have leveled up, the ban on leaving the house remains in effect. Nevertheless, Oren doesn't give up. He realizes he has just learned something new from the system. Outside, monsters are defeated by Oren, and a level up notification immediately appears, helping him understand how to become stronger. Oren hopes that if his level is high enough, perhaps the ban will be lifted. Looking down at the scene below, Oren wonders how to take out the monsters while still being confined to this house. Just then, monsters flying in the sky crash into the window as if challenging Oren. Oren looks down at the ground where the monsters are gathering, and a bold idea sparks in his mind. With a determined look, Oren believes he is fully capable of annihilating those monsters. This is Oren's journey, where every limit can be shattered. Oren grabs a plastic water bottle, squeezing it tightly in his palm, preparing for a surprise move. Without hesitation, Oren swings his arm, throwing the bottle out the window with astonishing speed. The bottle tears through the air as it plummets from the heights, creating a powerful attack trajectory. The object streaks through the air, turning into an unexpected long-range weapon aimed straight at the target. The sound of impact echoes, and Oren cheers with joy as he sees that his attack was truly effective. Oren doesn't stop. He continues to scavenge for other household items to use as weapons for hunting monsters. He lifts a heavy iron dumbbell, his eyes burning with determination to use it to finish off the monsters. Suddenly, Oren startles, alerted by an unexpected development right below the house. The goblins are cheering. They seem to be preparing for a brutal attack on the area. The goblins dash at lightning speed, moving toward their target with malicious intent. Oren panics and shouts loudly to stop the goblins, fearing the situation is taking a turn for the worse. With ragged breaths, Oren swings his arm, pouring all his strength into a new attack. Oren stands firm, bracing himself to unleash a decisive strike, giving no chance to the goblins in vain. Oren launches a powerful throw, the dumbbell flies through the air with terrifying force. But suddenly, Oren freezes, sweat pouring down like rain as an ominous premonition strikes him. Oren looks down at the last remaining dumbbell and despair begins to creep in. Oren is at a dead end, with nothing heavy left in his hands to use as a long-range weapon. A piercing shriek rings out and Oren startles as he turns around. The goblins in vain are screaming, pointing aggressively toward Oren. Tension is evident on Oren's face as he faces the closing swarm of monsters. The roar of the goblins in vain tears through the space and they are flooding in like a tide. The dark claws of the goblins reach out, ready to tear apart anything in their path. The goblins in vain accelerate, charging straight toward the building where Oren is holding his ground. Oren grips the railing tightly, looking down at the goblins in vain surrounding him below. Oren suddenly realizes this is the perfect opportunity to wipe them out while they're bunched up. A brilliant idea flashes through Oren's mind. Oren quickly activates the system store. As the interface appears, Oren reaches out to select the item he needs. Oren's finger taps the item registration button. The system confirms the request and Oren lifts the dumbbell to scan it. A blue light envelopes the dumbbell and the registration process begins. A notification pops up confirming a successful registration. Oren now holds the key to purchasing more weapons. The store displays the price of the dumbbell and Oren checks his remaining balance. Oren realizes that the system has kept the same prices as the old world. Oren decides to buy 2 dumbbells immediately to use as weapons. Oren confirms the purchase, looking visibly excited. A dazzling light flashes from the control panel. Oren waits in suspense. The item appears and Oren readies his battle stance. Oren smiles confidently, everything is ready. Oren feels the perfect weight of the new dumbbell. Oren swings his arm and hurls the dumbbell at lightning speed. The dumbbell tears through the air, heading straight for the target below. A heavy strike from above smashes into the gathering of goblins, scattering them. The system notifies Oren that he has successfully killed a goblin and gained experience points. A reward of 3,345 won is added directly to Oren's wallet. Oren cheers with excitement at the generous reward from monster hunting. Remaining goblins shriek frantically, lunging at the corpses of their fallen comrades. Just then, a heavy object tears through the air, wiping out the rest of the goblins. Screams echo as the surprise attack strikes the ground, sending the goblins into disarray. Oren wipes away sweat, breathing a sigh of relief after narrowly escaping the dangerous situation. The system notifies Oren that he has successfully purchased 3 classic anti-slip dumbbells. Oren reaches out, summoning the dumbbells from the virtual space. Oren swings his arm, throwing the dumbbell at his target with terrifying speed. The critical hit lands, causing the goblin to collapse on the spot. The system confirms Oren has taken down another goblin, received a cash reward, and leveled up his skills. Oren smiles smugly, gripping the dumbbell in his hand. Oren prepares for the next wave of attacks with absolute determination. The system unlocks the inventory feature, a subspace used for storing items. Unable to hide his excitement, Oren immediately commands access to the inventory. Oren's hand appears, gently grasping a dumbbell from the inventory. The system asks for confirmation on whether Oren wants to store the item in the inventory. Oren summons the dumbbell from the virtual space, ready for combat. The system notifies that a 6-pound dumbbell has been stored and asks if Oren wants to summon it. Oren excitedly agrees, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. Dumbbell appears right in the palm of Oren's hand. Oren grips the item tightly, feeling that everything is absolutely perfect. Oren realizes he can summon items from his inventory anytime, anywhere. A sinister smile curls across Oren's lips as dark intentions begin to form. A flash of light emanates from the building, signaling an event about to unfold. Oren commands the system to access his inventory once again. A system notification pops up before Oren's eyes as he reaches out into thin air. Oren thrusts his hand forward, commanding the summon with absolute confidence. Without hesitation, Oren activates the dumbbell summoning skill repeatedly to create a rain of weapons, overwhelming the goblins in vain. The heavy iron dumbbells tear through the air, plummeting from above with terrifying force. The goblins in vain panic as they see massive blocks of iron falling from thin air. The goblin shrieks in despair as Oren's attack strikes right at the critical moment. The system continuously announces achievements as Oren wipes out the goblins in vain, with experience points pouring in rapidly. A reward of over 54,000 won is credited directly to Oren's account after the hunt. The system continues to offer options to register more items, and Oren remains in full control of the game. With eyes full of excitement, Oren doesn't hesitate to shout his agreement to continue the journey. Oren checks the list of 10 items registered in the system shop. His current balance is over 2,100,000 won. Oren breathes a sigh of relief as he gazes at the floating notification board. He has fully prepared everything from the dumbbells used to take out goblins to other essential supplies. Suddenly, a strange notification appears, catching Oren off guard. Oren's wallet has reached its maximum level, but his balance has just decreased by 1 won. Oren can't help but wonder why his balance was deducted by 1 won so unreasonably. Could the system be charging maintenance fees for the utilities Oren is currently using? Oren turns his head toward the refrigerator, suspecting it as the source of this charge. Electricity, water, or the heating system could be the cause, but the most likely culprit is the fact that the refrigerator has been turned back on. Oren is far from pleased, muttering curses at the wretched goblins. In the past, Oren had taken down quite a few goblins by dropping dumbbells from above. But those goblins had since retreated and moved to another area. Frustrated, Oren walks to the window, wondering if there are any more monsters left for him to finish off. Outside, only silence and ruined debris remain. Unable to find any targets, Oren realizes he needs to change his strategy. Oren looks up at the sky, hoping for something to appear. He silently wishes for a stray monster to fly across his line of sight. Oren blinks, his gaze suddenly freezing when he spots a shadow up high. A creature is flapping its wings, soaring through the blue sky. Oren narrows his eyes, wondering if that is what he has been searching for. The creature spreads its wings, revealing a grotesque form with a mouth full of jagged teeth. Oren gasps in astonishment at the flying creature. Feeling like he's been blessed by the heavens, Oren rushes to the balcony. Oren quickly grabs the drying rack and yanks it from its position. The sound of clashing metal rings out sharply as Oren dismantles the rack. Oren swings the drying rack, aiming straight at the approaching creature. A beam of light flashes from Oren's direction. The creature falters, facing the unexpected attack from Oren. Oren faces the dark serpent, which is aggressively charging toward his apartment balcony. The dark serpent roars, lunging at Oren with terrifying speed. Oren flashes an excited smile. It seems his trap has worked perfectly. The dark serpent crashes into the invisible barrier, its screams echoing through the space. Oren remains calm. He only needs to wait for the dark serpent to ram itself into the house. Oren's heart pounds. He knows that if he can just take down the dark serpent, his level will skyrocket. Violent impact catches Oren off guard, and he hurriedly braces himself to dodge. The shockwave from the collision hits, and Oren tenses up to endure the pain. Oren frowns, sensing that something is wrong. He looks up to see the space around him beginning to shake violently. Oren is horrified to see his house wall cracking under the pressure of the dark serpent. Dark serpent bares its fangs and claws, driving Oren into a corner. Oren swallows hard, feeling extreme tension in this desperate situation. Oren's eyes turned icy cold. He was focusing all his energy on finding a way to survive. The dark snake continued to batter the barrier, emitting a series of piercing, deafening sounds. A system alert popped up. An unidentified entity was attempting to breach the perimeter. System notifications flooded in rapidly, warning that the breach was becoming increasingly critical. Oren was extremely anxious, praying that the barrier would hold against the onslaught. Unable to sit still, Oren decided to activate the system shop immediately. The shop's item list appeared, and Oren quickly searched for a desperate solution. Balance in Oren's system account was clearly visible. He had to spend it wisely. Oren realized that he could only collect loot from the monsters nearby. He reflected on the recent goblin hunt. Everything had not gone according to the original plan. Surviving goblins had carried away the corpses of their kin, causing Oren to miss the chance to collect items. Oren gritted his teeth, realizing he needed to kill the monsters right here to claim their loot. The sound of pounding never ceased, and Oren had to find a way to destroy the dark snake at any cost. Suddenly, Oren looked at the item list and a bold idea struck him. Without hesitation, Oren ordered 10 units of cooking oil from the system shop. The system displayed a purchase confirmation prompt. Oren didn't hesitate for a second and clicked yes. Instantly, a series of oil bottles were summoned from the system shop, dropping onto the floor in front of Oren. Oren quickly gathered the bottles, his eyes filled with determination as he prepared for his next move. Oren placed the pot on the stove and poured all the cooking oil into it. Oren's finger hit the control button, activating the electric stove to boil the oil. Oren carefully wrapped strips of cloth around the tip of a stick, crafting a unique makeshift torch. Oren dipped the tip of the stick into the boiling oil, causing the liquid to splatter everywhere. Oren opened the shop interface and proceeded to register the newly crafted item. The system asked to confirm the item registration. Oren responded with a firm yes. Oren poured more oil onto the item, preparing to complete the enhancement process. A notification appeared. The registration of the boiling cooking oil was successful. Oren reached for the lighter lying on the table. Oren flicked a lighter and a flame erupted right against the oil-soaked tip of the stick. At that very moment, the dark snake appeared, lunging straight down from above. Oren wasn't afraid. He raised the blazing torch high to confront the dark snake. Oren shouted, summoning even more cooking oil to boost the firepower. Cooking oil poured from the system like a waterfall, drenching the dark snake. Doused in oil unexpectedly, the dark snake shrieked in panic. The dark snake thrashed violently, trying to escape the rain of oil clinging to its body. Oren ignited the stream of oil and a massive fire erupted. Oren roared, ordering the final blow to finish off the dark snake. A powerful strike from the flaming torch crashed directly into the dark snake. The dark snake screamed in agony within the sea of flames. The fire spread rapidly, consuming the dark snake in a shocking display. Oren flashed a confident grin. Everything was going exactly according to plan. The dark serpent let out a final roar before collapsing. The dark serpent's body crashed down, triggering a massive fiery explosion on the ground. Oren stood watching the aftermath, his breath coming in heavy gasps after the fierce battle. The dark serpent struggled within the flames that were consuming it. Finally, the dark serpent lay motionless, completely subdued by the power of the flames. The system announced that Oren had successfully defeated an opponent, rewarding him with a massive amount of experience points and several new skill levels. At the same time, the loot from the battle that had just concluded was automatically collected by the system. A ting sound echoed, and Oren's wallet was suddenly credited with over 9 million won. He couldn't help but be stunned by this colossal amount. Oren stared in disbelief at the notification board. Nearly 10 million won, equivalent to $10,000, was no small sum. But it didn't stop there. The system continued to announce that Oren's base was being expanded. Ground beneath Oren's feet suddenly shook violently, causing him to lose his balance. Oren was extremely bewildered, not understanding what was happening to his room. Oren's expression shifted as he realized that something highly unusual was manifesting. A mysterious surge of power enveloped him, and Oren saw the surrounding space transforming completely. The old room seemed to be replaced. The space around Oren became completely unfamiliar. A sudden, sharp pain struck, causing Oren to clutch his stomach and collapse from exhaustion. Space continued to morph, and a beam of light covered the entire room. The ceiling and the structures surrounding Oren gradually changed their shape under the influence of the system. As his vision cleared, Oren was astonished to see a strange family sitting in the room that had just appeared. Oren couldn't believe his eyes and let out a gasp as he saw the people present before him. Looking closer, Oren realized they were his neighbors who lived right next door. Kim Ji-yeon clutches his head in agony, besieged by a whirlwind of chaotic memories that shatter his composure. Standing before Kim Ji-yeon is a family huddled together in terror, the air in the room heavy with suffocating tension. Kim Ji-yeon's gaze suddenly turns razor-sharp as the system flashes a new danger warning. Kim Ji-yeon lets out a guttural roar, dark energy surging through his body like a ticking time bomb ready to explode. He stares in disbelief at the notification window that just appeared, utter shock written all over his face. The system identifies the husband, a candidate currently under review for citizenship. Next up is Park Hye-won, a vital piece of the puzzle within this family. Then comes the eldest daughter, Choi Na-yeon, also added to the system's list. And finally, the second daughter, rounding out the list of those awaiting Kim Ji-yeon's ultimate decision. Kim Ji-yeon steps forward, each heavy footfall on the floor echoing the weight of a life or death decision. Kim Ji-yeon wonders to himself what would happen if he chose to deny them citizenship. The system coldly provides the answer: those without citizenship will be banished from the base. Another notification pops up demanding Kim Ji-yeon confirm his decision once and for all. Kim Ji-yeon is stunned. He knows all too well that without his approval, this family will be left to face the monsters outside alone. With no other choice, Kim Ji-yeon decides to grant citizenship to all four of them. With the decision finalized, it's now time for Kim Ji-yeon to see if he's unlocked any special skills. The Absolute Eye skill notification appears, granting Kim Ji-yeon the power to monitor everything within the base's perimeter. Kim Ji-yeon keeps digging, searching for the location of the skills related to citizenship. The passive skill base declaration is activated, giving Kim Ji-yeon total control over the territorial boundaries. Kim Ji-yeon cries out in triumph as he finds exactly what he's looking for, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Citizen list manifests, displaying the levels and trust ratings of every individual. Kim Ji-yeon is stunned by the number 600. He never imagined his base could hold such a massive capacity. He accesses the husband's profile, and a detailed window of his stats and trust levels appears. Kim Ji-yeon zeroes in on the information regarding the distribution of experience points and loot. He realizes he can actually manipulate these stats, a truly formidable and useful power. Smirk plays across Kim Ji-yeon's lips. He's finally found the shortcut to leveling up at lightning speed. Kim Ji-yeon clicks on the mission assignment tab, wondering if he can force them to work under his command. An empty mission board appears, waiting for Kim Ji-yeon to set the necessary parameters. Fueled by excitement, Kim Ji-yeon begins filling in the details for their very first mission. The Goblin Hunt mission is set with experience points as the reward. Kim Ji-yeon is ready to set his plan in motion. A sound echoes through the silence as the system presents an offer to assign a mission to Kim Ji-yeon. Kim Ji-yeon glares at the notification board, his eyes flashing with ruthlessness as he changes the failure penalty to certain death. The system confirms the new mission details, now featuring the most brutal penalty imaginable. The system awaits one final confirmation from Kim Ji-yeon before officially activating the mission. Kim Ji-yeon hesitates, a slight tremor in his hand, before abruptly choosing to cancel the mission. Kim Ji-yeon collapses to the floor, muttering to himself that he could wipe out those monsters whenever he damn well pleases. Kim Ji-yeon stares blankly into the void, reflecting on the terrifying magnitude of the power he now holds. Ponders how he should wield this ability to its maximum potential. Kim Ji-yeon's expression turns somber, his gaze betrayed by a sense of extreme, mounting tension. Kim Ji-yeon mumbles about his special skill, the ultimate eyes are just waiting to be fully awakened. A surge of energy envelopes Kim Ji-yeon as he activates his skill, and the space around him begins to shift. With his newfound power, Kim Ji-yeon pierces through the darkness, spotting the presence of Park Hae-won and the others. Park Hae-won gazes at Kim Ji-yeon with eyes full of worry, asking about their next move in this desperate, dead-end situation. Kim Ji-yeon decides to risk heading out to find water, but Park Hae-won immediately tries to stop him, fearing the lurking dangers. Park Hae-won presses Kim Ji-yeon, questioning where he could possibly find a source of clean water amidst all this chaos. Kim Ji-yeon asserts that he'll stop by a nearby convenience store where he believes some essential supplies might still be left. Kim Ji-yeon lowers his head, his eyes hidden behind his round-rimmed glasses, showing a mix of grim determination and anxiety. Choi Naeon's cries ring out as she whimpers to Park Hae-won, saying she is incredibly thirsty. Kim Ji-yeon clenches his fists, the torment visible on his face as he calls out his daughter's name. Kim Ji-yeon takes Park Hae-won's hand, pleading with her to trust him and wait for his return. Kim Ji-yeon commands the system to deactivate Ultimate Eyes to conserve his remaining energy. As the situation turns even worse than expected, Kim Ji-yeon decides to access the system shop. The system displays a list of items available for registration, and Kim Ji-yeon prepares to make his move. Kim Ji-yeon wonders if there is a way to register even more items to their inventory. The skill board appears, revealing the shop's parameters and his survival capabilities. Kim Ji-yeon breaks into an excited smile as he realizes the true potential of the system. When the system asks if he wants to upgrade the shop skill, he agrees without a moment's hesitation. A blinding light erupts from the control panel, signaling that the upgrade process has begun. The shop has reached level 2, allowing Kim Ji-yeon to register more items and receive special discounts. Kim Ji-yeon mumbles with satisfaction as he reviews the new changes within the system. Kim Ji-yeon calculates the investment into the shop and survival skills, knowing it's highly possible they'll encounter more survivors. A system notification rings out. The shop has officially reached level 3, expanding the registration limit to 40 items and adding an item restoration feature. Kim Ji-yeon ponders the new feature, where old, worn-out items can be refurbished to look brand new. A flash of resolve glints in Kim Ji-yeon's eyes. He thinks to himself that upgrading the shop to level 3 was a worthy investment. Without delaying any further, Kim Ji-yeon immediately orders the system to open the shop. The shop interface appears, allowing Kim Ji-yeon to purchase registered items at retail prices. Kim Ji-yeon quickly decides to purchase water and tangerines to prepare for their upcoming needs. The system continues to suggest upgrading his survival skills, and Kim Ji-yeon agrees without hesitation. Kim Ji-yeon plans to provide electricity and water to the neighbors in exchange for other useful resources. Kim Ji-yeon gives a slight nod, fully satisfied with his own strategy. The survival skill has officially been upgraded to level 2. A new notification appears. The vassal feature has been unlocked. Kim Ji-yeon is surprised by the unfamiliar term, wondering what the purpose of this vassal feature could be. An advertisement banner pops up on the system interface. Ha-bin-yu appears at the door, carrying a backpack and looking deeply anxious. Park Hae-won and her daughter Choi Na-yeon hug Kim Ji-yeon tightly, their eyes filled with visible fear. Kim Ji-yeon tries to reassure his family, promising to return soon and telling Choi Na-yeon to stay close to her mother. Choi Na-yeon looks up at Kim Ji-yeon, her wide eyes brimming with tears, asking if her father truly has to go out there. Kim Ji-yeon looks down at the trembling Choi Na-yeon, his heart heavy with the weight of their cruel reality. Kim Ji-yeon pats Choi Na-yeon on the head, telling her to be a good girl for her mother, and promises he'll return with food and water. Choi Na-yeon wails in despair, the little girl screaming in terror that the world outside is crawling with monsters. Meanwhile, elsewhere, children are still playing innocently in a sandbox, completely unaware of the looming threat. A blood-curdling scream rings out as hideous monsters suddenly emerge from the shadows. The two children stand paralyzed, their eyes wide with sheer terror at the gruesome sight before them. With nowhere left to run, they immediately turn and sprint for their lives. They push themselves into a desperate dash, their small legs struggling to escape the danger zone. But the monsters close in rapidly, their grotesque hands reaching out to snatch the helpless children. In a heart-pounding, life-or-death moment, a stranger rushes in, attempting to rescue the children from the monster's claws. Kim Ji-yeon shuts his eyes tightly, his face edged with visible tension and exhaustion. In the dimly lit room, Park Hae-won hurriedly pulls Choi Na-yeon into her embrace, trying to soothe the girl as she sobs uncontrollably. Kim Ji-yeon stands frozen, cold sweat pouring down his forehead. He knows deep down that this might be the very last time he sees his family. A heavy silence fills the air, leaving only the sound of Kim Ji-yeon's ragged breathing amidst the suffocating tension. Suddenly, the piercing ring of the doorbell shatters the deathly quiet of the apartment. Kim Ji-yeon jolts and spins around, his grip tightening on a golf club as he shields Park Hae-won and Choi Na-yeon behind him. The frantic knocking resumes, each thought echoing like a hammer against Kim Ji-yeon's panicked mind. A strange voice drifts in from behind the door, making a mysterious and unsettling request to be let in. Kim Ji-yeon's eyes widen, his sweat-drenched face a mask of fear and extreme alertness. Kim Ji-yeon takes a defensive stance, wondering if the person outside is human or a predator hunting them down. Clouded by suspicion, Kim Ji-yeon knows all too well the risks of opening that door in such a dire situation. The voice calls out again, filling the eerie void behind the heavy iron door. Kim Ji-yeon keeps his weapon raised, standing firmly in front of Park Hae-won and Choi Na-yeon, refusing to let his guard down for even a second. Kim Ji-yeon puts all his strength into slamming the golf club against the door to test the intruder, the impact booming through the room. Following the crash, the room plunges back into a terrifying silence, as if the person outside has vanished into thin air. Kim Ji-yeon whispers with a tremble, desperately hoping the threat has finally moved on. Kim Ji-yeon's gaze remains locked on the door, his entire body is taut as a bowstring. Suddenly, the sound of a single footstep makes Kim Ji-yeon freeze in his tracks. The door bursts open, and a blinding light floods into the pitch-black room. Kim Ji-yeon's eyes roll back in pure horror at the sight that reveals itself. Kim Ji-yeon lunges forward to shield Park Hae-won and Choi Na-yeon, screaming in a desperate attempt to protect them. Park Hae-won and Choi Na-yeon frantically cry out Kim Ji-yeon's name in a state of absolute panic. Kim Ji-yeon wails, pleading with the person at the door to spare the lives of Park Hae-won and Choi Na-yeon. Kim Ji-yeon trembles, his eyes filled with raw fear as he comes face to face with the mysterious man. Oren appears with a perfectly calm expression, carrying a bag of supplies, a stark contrast to Kim Ji-yeon's chaotic panic. Kim Ji-yeon continues to hold his family tight, staring at Oren with intense suspicion. Oren smiles and introduces himself as the neighbor living in the apartment right next door. Oren holds out the bag of supplies, offering to share his food and water with Kim Ji-yeon's family. Kim Ji-yeon looks at Oren with doubt, unable to fathom why a complete stranger would offer such help. Park Hae-won clutches Choi Na-yeon tightly, her eyes filled with anxiety as she watches Oren. Kim Ji-yeon lowers his head in thought, realizing that the resources Oren brought might be the only sliver of hope for his family's survival. Kim Ji-yeon quiet din mo qua chao dan in hung six kok. On wa hoveo tron dan dao byuk ngot quan trong trong vik chies ang wan tying win qui jia de kung nao sin tun. Choi Seo-yeon and Choi Na-yeon watch Kang Deok-soo vigilantly, bracing themselves against any potential danger. Kang Deok-soo attempts to ease the tense atmosphere with an awkward smile, hoping his presence doesn't frighten the children further. Scanning the room carefully, Kang Deok-soo silently commends the group for using blackout curtains to conceal their hideout. Kang Deok-soo understands that keeping the room pitch black is the best way to minimize the risk of monster attacks. Suddenly, a strange surge of light erupts from Kang Deok-soo's hand, shattering the darkness enveloping the room. Kang Deok-soo's eyes flash with a peculiar blue light as he activates the illumination, and a brilliant radiance spreads throughout the space. The room lights up to the astonishment of Hyeongjin Choi and those around him. They can hardly believe the power has been restored. Amidst everyone's amazement, Kang Deok-soo calmly suggests giving priority to the children so they can drink some water first. Kang Deok-soo holds out a water bottle toward the children. Choi Seo-yeon and Choi Na-yeon take it with expressions of both joy and surprise. Choi Seo-yeon and Choi Na-yeon cannot hide their astonishment upon receiving the gift from Kang Deok-soo. Parched by extreme thirst, Choi Seo-yeon and Choi Na-yeon hurriedly gulp down the refreshing water. Because she drinks too fast, Choi Seo-yeon begins to cough violently, prompting Kim Ji-yeon to ask after her with immediate concern. Kang Deok-soo observes the scene before him in deep contemplation, weighing his next move. To soothe the situation, Kang Deok-soo takes out a tangerine and asks if the children would like to eat it. Choi Seo-yeon timidly accepts the tangerine from Kang Deok-soo, offering a quiet, shy word of thanks. Kim Ji-yeon kindly offers to peel the tangerine for Choi Seo-yeon, who watches her with expectant eyes. The tangerine segments are carefully separated, and Kang Deok-soo gently invites Choi Seo-yeon to enjoy them. Choi Seo-yeon takes a segment, her eyes lighting up at this act of kindness. As the sweet flavor of the tangerine spreads, Choi Seoyeon cannot hide the happiness on her face. Radiant smile blossoms on Choi Seoyeon's lips and the initial tension completely dissipates. Kim Ji-aang smiles at Choi Seoyeon, happy to see the children being well cared for. Choi Seoyeon nods enthusiastically, confirming that she really enjoys the treat. Seeing this, Choi Na-yeon also asks for a share from Kang Deok-soo. Choi Na-yeon chews the tangerine segment contentedly, her face filled with satisfaction. The system notifies that the trust levels of Choi Seoyeon and the others have increased significantly. At the same time, the minimum requirements for registering vassals have been met by Kang Deok-soo. The status board appears, confirming that Choi Seoyeon has reached level 2 with a loyalty stat exceeding the threshold. Kang Deok-soo stares at the virtual notification screen, silently calculating his plans for the future. Kang Deok-soo decides that the time has come to officially register Choi Seoyeon as his vassal. Kang Deok-soo is deep in thought, his eyes showing clear anxiety as he considers registering the young girl. The system's rules are clear. Kang Deok-soo can only have a maximum of 10 vassals, unlike regular citizens. Kang Deok-soo looks at Hyeongjin Choi, silently assessing that every vassal must be extremely useful to handle tasks for him. The status board appears. Hyeongjin Choi's loyalty stat is stuck at only 31, a dangerously low level. Kang Deok-soo realizes he needs to act immediately to solidify Hyeongjin Choi's trust. Hyeongjin Choi speaks up hesitantly and Kang Deok-soo starts in reaction. Hyeongjin Choi expresses deep gratitude, to which Kang Deok-soo can only respond with caution. Kang Deok-soo proactively suggests a private conversation outside to address the issue. Both step out into the quiet hallway, the space becomes still and silent. Kang Deok-soo and Hyeongjin Choi stand facing each other, the air between them somewhat tense. They stand silently in the middle of the hallway, bracing themselves for important revelations. Kang Deok-soo gets straight to the point, asking Hyeongjin Choi whether he has already accepted his citizenship. Hyeongjin Choi raises his hand, announcing that his entire family completed the process a long time ago. Kang Deok-soo probes into what changes Hyeongjin Choi felt after registering. Kang Deok-soo questions whether people experience temporary paralysis upon receiving citizenship. Hyeongjin Choi speaks up to interrupt, drawing Kang Deok-soo's attention. Kang Deok-soo makes a promising offer, claiming he can help Hyeongjin Choi reclaim his former life. Hyeongjin Choi is stunned by the offer, his eyes widening in complete surprise. Kang Deok-soo explains that as long as they stay inside the house, Hyeongjin Choi will be perfectly safe from the monsters. Kang Deok-soo confidently asserts his ability to protect him. Hyeongjin Choi falls silent, contemplating the risks involved. Hyeongjin Choi realizes the price he has to pay and asks Kang Deok-soo directly about his conditions. Kang Deok-soo warns Hyeongjin Choi that this task might cost him his very life. Hyeongjin Choi remains silent for a moment, steeling his resolve. Hyeongjin Choi accepts all the risks, affirming that even without Kang Deok-soo, he would still have to go out and scavenge for supplies. Kang Deok-soo nods in satisfaction at Hyeongjin Choi's decision. Kang Deok-soo suddenly notices Hyeongjin Choi's golf club and asks about its value. Hyeongjin Choi blankly replies that the club costs about 500,000 won. Kang Deok-soo silently judges that the item is too expensive to appear in the shop. Kang Deok-soo grows pensive, his hands clasped together anxiously. He tells himself that he needs to save money, as he might need it later on. Hyeongjin Choi wonders about the golf club, but Kang Deok-soo just waves him off, dismissing it as unimportant. Kang Deok-soo looks straight at Hyeongjin Choi, his gaze turning serious as he suddenly asks about the day the monsters appeared. Hyeongjin Choi is stunned, cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. He stammers, confirming that the horrific day was indeed on a weekend. Memories of the grotesque monsters come flooding back. Horrible creatures with glowing eyes were screaming and lunging to attack humans. Hyeongjin Choi is still shaken, trembling as he mutters that it was truly a horrific nightmare. Kang Deok-soo agrees, but offers a faint glimmer of hope that those who were at home at that time might still be alive. Kang Deok-soo analyzes that these monsters aren't too dangerous if encountered one-on-one. A lethal strike lands and blood gushes from the monster. Kang Deok-soo further explains that these monsters are naturally small and have a lower level than an average adult man. However, Kang Deok-soo emphasizes that humans can achieve similar feats if they know how to work together. Kang Deok-soo's gaze turns icy, and he asserts that this is precisely why they need to increase their numbers immediately. Hyeongjin Choi looks up at Kang Deok-soo with reverence, responding to him with absolute obedience. Kang Deok-soo issues a clear order. He wants Hyeongjin Choi to help him track down other survivors. Kang Deok-soo places a hand on Hyeongjin Choi's shoulder, his eyes filled with determination, ready for the next steps in their battle for survival. Amidst the tranquil city skyline at sunset, the high-rise apartment blocks stand tall like solitary fortresses. The system suddenly issues a new notification. Hyeongjin Choi's trust level has increased. Kim Ji-yeon is resting when he receives the signal. He exclaims softly as he sees the stats rising once more. The Citizen Management Board displays the details, and the list of people placing their faith in Kim Ji-yeon grows longer by the day. Kim Ji-yeon's gaze is pensive. He is lost in his own calculations. Kim Ji-yeon tells himself that as long as he can recruit more people, the day he reunites with his family will not be far off. Suddenly, a piercing scream rings out, startling Kim Ji-yeon and making him bolt upright from his bed. Without hesitation, Kim Ji-yeon rushes toward the balcony, his intuition warning him that something is terribly wrong. Kim Ji-yeon's eyes widen in shock as he witnesses the scene unfolding below. Down in the apartment courtyard, A's group is struggling to fend off a siege by ferocious monsters. Kim Ji-yeon watches with a heavy heart, feeling helpless as he can do nothing to assist them from such a great distance. The roars of the monsters echo everywhere as they crazily attack their prey. They puts all his strength into throwing the object in his hand toward the monsters. A whistling sound tears through the air as the object flies at a terrifying speed. The heavy impact slams directly into the target, creating a shockwave that forces the monsters to retreat. Pressure of the attack sends the monsters crashing down, creating an opportunity for the group to escape. Kim Ji-yeon is stunned by the power just unleashed and exclaims in amazement. Dancing Grandpa quickly gets into position, preparing to deliver the next finishing blow. Consecutive critical hits rain down, and the blood of the monsters splatters everywhere. However, the monsters continue to swarm, surrounding the survivors. Yeonjin leaps high into the air, performing an overhead strike. A blinding light erupts at the point of impact, dazzling the monsters. The monsters panic and flee in the face of the group's fierce counterattack. With strength gathered in his legs, Yeonjin lunges forward like a lightning bolt. The whole team coordinates seamlessly, creating a solid defensive perimeter. Asa focuses intensely, her eyes cold and sharp as she looks toward the target. Asa draws her bowstring taut, preparing to loose the arrow that will finish the enemy. The arrow leaves the bow, and Asa is surprised to see the target taken down so quickly. Asa looks up toward the building where Kim Ji-yeon is watching from above. Kim Ji-yeon waves from the balcony, his eyes filled with visible relief upon seeing they are safe. Kim Ji-yeon's eyes reveal astonishment as he realizes something is amiss. Kalis stands there, his face full of anxiety while facing the confusing situation. Kim Ji-yeon signals from above, drawing Kalis's attention. Realizing Kalis has arrived, Kim Ji-yeon turns around to prepare for their meeting. Kalis appears with a tense expression, clutching a large box tightly in his arms. Kim Ji-yeon opens the door, not hesitating to invite Kalis inside the apartment. Footsteps echo as Kalis enters Kim Ji-yeon's living space. Kalis bows his head slightly in thanks as he crosses the threshold. But the moment Kalis attempts to step forward, a mysterious green energy suddenly blocks his path. Kalis is stunned as a system interface appears, effectively barring his way. A sharp, discordant noise echoes, signaling the system's denial. Notification flashes clearly: qualification denied, entry refused. Kalis is stunned, unable to comprehend what is happening to his status. Kim Ji-yeon stares at the notification panel, deep in thought, calculating the cause. Kim Ji-yeon wonders if his apartment has become a restricted zone for Kalis. Perhaps only registered vassals are permitted to enter this place. Kalis stands there, helpless against the invisible barrier. Kalis hands the crate to Kim Ji-yeon, confirming he has brought everything that could serve as a weapon. Kim Ji-yeon leans down to inspect the crate, searching for the necessary items. Inside are sharp knives and a toolkit, exactly what Kim Ji-yeon needs right now. The system issues an order: access the storage, retrieve 5 bottles of water and 5 packets of ramen. Kim Ji-yeon interacts with the system, preparing to fulfill the request. Kalis is startled as he watches Kim Ji-yeon spring into action. Kim Ji-yeon hands the prepared crate to Kalis, entrusting him with a mission. The first floor? Kalis cannot help but worry about the safety of this task. Kim Ji-yeon reassures him that the goblins are more active during the day, so it will be fine. In the shadows, the shadow people wait, their eyes glowing with dangerous intent. Kim Ji-yeon is determined. He needs to recruit the shadow people to bolster his forces. Kim Ji-yeon believes that once they see the food, they will come to him on their own. Kim Ji-yeon explains the plan, asking Kalis to help deliver these supplies downstairs. Kim Ji-yeon nods in confirmation, his eyes steady and resolute at the proposal. Kalis nods in agreement, feeling that this request is not too difficult. Kalis bows to Kim Ji-yeon before setting out to complete the mission. Kim Ji-yeon smiles lightly in response to Kalis's gratitude. Kim Ji-yeon contemplates Kalis's kindness and considers giving him a reward. Kim Ji-yeon commands the system interface to open the quest window immediately. A chime rings out as the quest panel appears, requiring Kalis to deliver the goods to the first floor within 24 hours. Kalis stares at the notification in astonishment while Kim Ji-yeon explains the experience points to be gained. Kalis wonders if this is all a game. Kim Ji-yeon confirms it and reveals that his current level is 9. Kim Ji-yeon reassures Kalis that leveling up will bring useful rewards and perks. Kim Ji-yeon places his trust in Kalis to complete this delivery job. Kalis takes a deep breath, steeling himself with the belief that he can handle this mission. The emergency exit sign hums, signaling the start of Kalis's journey. The space descends into darkness, leaving only the steady sound of Kalis's footsteps. Kalis gulps, carefully advancing toward the dim, cyan-lit passageway. Each of Kalis's footsteps leaves a mark on the silent floor as he ventures deeper. Kalis passes through the floors, the numbers on the electronic display counting down. Kalis continues descending to the lower levels, the tension rising with every breath. Kalis steps out of the building, the sky outside is dyed in a haunting shade of red. Kalis mutters to himself that he must leave the crate here, all while strange whispers echo in the surroundings. Kalis suddenly glances around, sensing that something is wrong and targeting him. Kalis is shocked to see a group of shadowy figures gathering, threatening him. Extreme fear washes over Kalis as the shadowy figures appear right behind him. Kalis panics and turns to run as fast as he can to escape the shadowy figures. While fleeing in a panic, Kalis unexpectedly trips and falls onto the road. Kalis crashes to the ground and the crates in his hands scatter everywhere. Kalis tries to struggle to his feet in pain as the footsteps of the shadowy figures draw closer. Kalis trembles as the footsteps of the shadowy figures close in on his position. Kalis screams in desperation, trying to crawl away quickly to find a way to survive. Kalis is horrified to realize he has been completely surrounded by the shadowy figures in the dark. Kalis screams in despair as the darkness closes in. Every path of retreat is blocked, and the crushing pressure makes it impossible for him to breathe. Kalis widens his eyes in shock. Amidst the intense panic, a glimmer of hope suddenly appears right before him. Kim Ji-yeon and his teammates arrive just in time, reaching out to save Kalis from the abyss. Oren stood frozen in the middle of the room, his eyes wide with astonishment as a blue system interface suddenly appeared right before him. Unable to believe his own eyes, Oren muttered in disbelief, questioning whether this was actually happening. Driven by growing curiosity, Oren decided he had to immediately verify what was going on. Activating the Eye of Insight skill, Oren's vision shifted completely, allowing him to observe everything in his surroundings. Through his enhanced vision, Oren spotted a group of people approaching, among whom Dong Jian-ha looked clearly anxious. Gaeong Kim spoke up to analyze the situation, concluding that the fact someone had discarded ramen wrappers proved they still had a food supply. The group nodded in agreement, all of them fully aware that food supplies were running low and that urgent action was needed. Oren immediately recognized these faces. They were the very people he had encountered not long ago. The system issued an urgent notification confirming that individuals eligible for citizenship were heading straight toward Oren's base. Oren fell into deep thought, realizing his current authority had changed. He no longer possessed the forced recruitment privileges he once had. He remained lost in thought regarding the new limitations the system had imposed upon him. Oren realized he could only extend an invitation rather than forcing outsiders to join his team. This meant they had the full right to reject his offer, a risk Oren absolutely did not want to take. Oren's mind was in turmoil as he wondered what he should do to resolve this difficult situation. Suddenly, an idea flashed through Oren's mind, catching him off guard. Oren turned around, his eyes fixed firmly on the communication device mounted on the wall. He was stunned as he realized something incredibly important. A confident smile spread across Oren's lips. He had found a way to test his hypothesis. Oren walked toward the device, ready to establish a connection with Jaehyun. Oren pressed the call button, his tone serious as he inquired about Jaehyun. The system notified Oren about a pending quest and asked if he wanted to reset it. Without a moment's hesitation, Oren agreed immediately, determined to seize this opportunity. The request to reset the quest was sent, and Oren waited anxiously for the results from the system. A sinister smile appeared on Oren's face as the plan began to unfold. The system issued a new requirement for Oren to host a dinner party for 6 guests. As the quest update notification appeared, Oren now knew exactly what he needed to do next. Oren contacted Jaehyun again, informing him that he had just created a new quest for them. Oren extended an invitation for them to come for dinner, a sweet trap already set in place. Dong Jian-ha and the group stepped inside, sensing a change in the atmosphere. Whispers echoed within the group as they entered the room, completely unaware of what awaited them. Dong Jian-ha smiled slightly, confirming that the others had agreed to the deal. Jaehyun immediately ordered the system to grant citizenship to the entire group. A system notification chimed, officially confirming that Dong Jian-ha, Deoksu Kang, Gaeong Kim, and Hyerin Yu had become citizens. The portal opened, granting the newly selected group access to the floor. The group stepped inside, their faces clearly showing they were ready for the new journey. System updated the number of citizens, meaning Jaehyun received additional experience points and loot drops. Jaehyun could not hide his excitement as he saw his bonus stats increase significantly. System notifications flickered constantly, displaying the settings for the new citizens. Jaehyun silently thought this was the perfect privilege, having just added a group capable of hunting monsters to his team. The Citizen Management Board appeared, listing the details of each individual's level and trust level. Jaehyun takes notice of Dong Jianha, who is at the same level as the monster he once defeated. Dong Jianha's detailed stats reveal his unique skill, baseball throw. Jaehyun realizes that the D-rank skill baseball throw can triple the power of a single pitch. A baseball lies there, appearing ordinary but hiding unfathomable danger. Combined with a power-boosting skill, this ball becomes nothing short of a weapon for hunting monsters. Jaehyun decides to be patient and build trust, knowing it's only a matter of time. Jaehyun sets the experience distribution rate to % for all of them. The system confirms that the settings have been updated successfully. Jaehyun is satisfied with what he has just accomplished. Simply by assigning tasks, Jaehyun can sit back at home and enjoy the spoils from automatic hunts. Even so, Jaehyun knows he still needs to find a way to win their trust and grow closer to them. After all, these people are the key to Jaehyun finding his family again. An unexpected notification pops up. Dong Jianha's trust level has just increased. Jaehyun is surprised by this sudden change. Shortly after, the trust levels of Gaeon Kim and Hyerin Yu also increase simultaneously. Jaehyun is bewildered, wondering what exactly is going on. Dong Jianha politely invites everyone inside and expresses his sincere gratitude. Dong Jianha's wife comes out, looking surprised as she asks him about the current situation. Dong Jianha promises to explain later and asks his wife to prepare a meal for the new guests. Dong Jianha's wife remains silent, seemingly reflecting on this unexpected request. Gaeon Kim nods slightly, agreeing that they must act quickly according to the request. However, she does not forget to warn that the process might take quite some time. Oren shows no sign of annoyance. He gently responds with a sincere thank you. Oren's eyes suddenly darken, his mind begins to revolve around the name just mentioned. Oren asks Dong Jianha about Jaehyun, but Dong Jianha can only shake his head in confusion. Faced with everyone's curiosity, Dong Jianha confesses that he only knows Jaehyun as the neighbor living right next door. Just a neighbor, huh? Oren mutters, a flicker of suspicion crossing his eyes. Despite the scarce information, Oren asserts that Jaehyun is an extremely interesting person and an indispensable element in this plan. Oren frowns in thought, realizing that Jaehyun must have awakened his abilities as well. An obvious truth is gradually being revealed, becoming clear in Oren's mind. Oren carefully tucks the item into his clothing, silently appreciating the power Jaehyun possesses. He tells himself that at all costs, the group must make the best impression possible on Jaehyun. With the ability to provide supplies and electricity, Jaehyun is the key to their survival. Oren admits that Jaehyun's ability is truly a miracle, something he cannot even compare to. Seeing everyone still waiting, Jaehyun proactively suggests they wash up while waiting for dinner to be prepared. Jaehyun smiles lightly, his gestures exuding a natural and incredibly hospitable vibe. Gaeon Kim and Hyerin Yu can hardly believe their ears, their faces reveal clear astonishment. Oren is shocked to realize that if there is electricity, it means Jaehyun has the ability to control the entire infrastructure of this building. Jaehyun confirms with a radiant smile that they even have hot water to use. Gaeon Kim and Hyerin Yu are completely shocked by such luxury in these chaotic times. Jaehyun enthusiastically guides everyone, kindly pointing out the location of the restroom. Dong Jianha whispers to Oren, asking if Jaehyun is truly an awakener. Looking confident, Dong Jianha intends to show off his baseball bat to regain his composure in front of Jaehyun. Oren immediately stops him, reminding Dong Jianha that their goal is to persuade Jaehyun, not to provoke him. Oren looks straight at Dong Jianha with a stern expression, demanding he do nothing stupid. Breaking into a cold sweat, Dong Jianha hurriedly nods in agreement with Oren's instructions. Oren finalizes the plan. They must seize this opportunity to stockpile as many supplies from Jaehyun's place as possible. Dong Jianha listens quietly, his expression becoming much more serious and cautious. Oren wears a cryptic smile. Everything is unfolding exactly as he had orchestrated. Everyone begins to move, preparing for the next steps inside Jaehyun's base. Oren's gaze grows heavy, and anxiety is etched on his face as he realizes the group's dire situation. Dong Jianha is startled by the call, quickly apologizing for his distraction. Oren waves his hand, taking all the responsibility upon himself instead of letting Dong Jianha worry. Remorse gnaws at Oren. If he hadn't insisted on hosting that housewarming party, things wouldn't have come to this. Dong Jianha smiles to reassure him, affirming that attending the party was his own choice. Oren makes a firm decision that the group will set off for Dong Jianha's grandmother's house as soon as they gather enough supplies. Dong Jianha nods in agreement, silently thanking Oren for his timely leadership during this crisis. A wave of exhaustion hits, and Oren cannot suppress the fatigue consuming his body. Oren shuts his eyes tightly, whispering a chilling warning to himself that perhaps it is already too late. In the shadows, the glowing red eyes of monsters track their every move, signaling an imminent catastrophe. Dong Jianha lies curled up on the floor, incessant coughing making it impossible for him to get up. Oren grits his teeth, trying to stay strong as he reminds Dong Jianha that their destination is not far now. Dong Jianha understands the situation, but his anxiety remains evident in his broken sentences. Suddenly, a strange sound echoes from the door, causing the whole group to spin around in a defensive stance. The room door slowly creaks open, and the atmosphere becomes suffocatingly tense. The hinges shriek hauntingly, and the door swings wide as if inviting an unspeakable danger inside. A shadow appears from behind the door. The stranger's presence makes the space seem to freeze. Deoxy Khan grips his baseball bat tightly, his eyes filled with suspicion as he watches the newcomer. Jaehyun steps in, his calm aura making the group instantly feel a difference. Jaehyun looks directly at them, his voice calm and full of confidence regarding his ability to help. Deoxy Khan moves his hand slightly, maintaining his guard even though Jaehyun's offer sounds very appealing. In the eyes of Oren's group, Jaehyun is not just a stranger, he could be their only hope to escape this nightmare. Her eyes are glued to Jaehyun, waiting to see if he is truly the savior they have been searching for. The atmosphere became stifling as Oren, Haiwan Choi, Hanseol, and Jaehyun gathered around the tiny dining table. Haiwan Choi skillfully covered her mouth with her hand, offering a sheepish smile and apologizing for how cramped the table was. Oren waved his hand to reassure her, admitting that the group had suddenly intruded upon Haiwan Choi without any prior notice. Haiwan Choi smiled brightly and announced that the meal was ready, dispelling the initial awkwardness. Steaming hot dishes were laid out, making the atmosphere feel significantly less tense. Haiwan Choi quickly set the rice bowls down, while Oren, Hanseol, and Jaehyun waited with eager anticipation. Haiwan Choi blushed slightly, humbly hoping that everyone would be satisfied with what she had prepared. The table was brimming with delicious dishes that looked incredibly appetizing, radiating an irresistible charm. The radiance of the food was so captivating that no one could look away. Chopsticks quickly reached for a piece of the golden, rolled omelet which looked incredibly soft and smooth. Hanseol was so stunned that she froze in place after tasting the exquisite flavor of the egg dish. Hanseol couldn't contain her excitement, exclaiming that this was nothing short of a grand feast. Haiwan Choi modestly shared that it was all thanks to the ingredients Jaehyun had provided. Jaehyun gave a slight nod, acknowledging the gratitude from Haiwan Choi. A system notification appeared, indicating that Haiwan Choi's trust level had increased significantly. Oren couldn't help but be surprised to see Haiwan Choi reach that level of trust so quickly. Haiwan Choi happily invited everyone to enjoy their meal. Jaehyun excitedly enjoyed the food, unable to hide his satisfaction. The group ate happily together, enjoying the fruits of Haiwan Choi's labor. Everyone marveled at the unique flavor of the rolled omelet. Oren praised it incessantly, comparing the taste to high-end egg dishes found in top-tier restaurants. Haiwan Choi smiled and confirmed, happy to see everyone enjoying her cooking. A member of the citizen group approached, whispering that she too wanted to try that egg dish. Haiwan Choi turned around, surprised by the arrival of the citizen group member. Seeing the citizen group member on the verge of tears, Haiwan Choi gently patted her head and promised to make a fresh batch for her later. Haiwan Choi and the others kindly invited the member of the citizen group to sit down and eat with them. The member of the citizen group quickly ran over, excitedly accepting the invitation. Haiwan Choi tenderly looked after the member of the citizen group, making her feel incredibly happy. Haiwan Choi picked up a piece of the rolled omelet and fed it directly to the member of the citizen group. The member of the citizen group enjoyed the bite with delight, her face full of satisfaction. In the cozy atmosphere, Oren and the citizen group gathered around the simple meal. He friendly invited everyone to eat, assuring them there was plenty of food left. Faced with the sincere offer, a member of the citizen group hesitated, her face showing clear signs of embarrassment. But then, the citizen group quickly broke into smiles and happily accepted, without standing on ceremony toward Oren's hospitality. Chopsticks and bowls were put to work, pieces of egg were grabbed repeatedly, and the meal proceeded in a very harmonious atmosphere. Oren picked up a piece of egg and savored it slowly. He remarked that it had been a long time since he had such a proper meal. On the food container, a small note was carefully attached, containing a loving message meant for the son. Oren sank into deep thought, his gaze distant as he silently prayed for the safety of his loved ones. The dishes on the table gradually emptied, leaving only clean plates after the conversation between Oren and the citizen group. Suddenly, the small child in the citizen group, feeling sleepy, rubbed her eyes and whimpered for her mother. The mother smiled tenderly, gently picking the child up while the other child watched on with curiosity. Oren glanced over, his sharp gaze filled with unpredictable thoughts. After settling down, Oren seriously suggested the citizens group continue the story they were telling earlier. He wondered why they hadn't sought out the grandmother's house, given how close it was. Kim Miho lowered his head and replied in a low voice that it was all because of the goblins. Kim Miho's expression turned tense as he recalled the dire situation they had once faced. Oren frowned, repeating the question in astonishment. Goblins, you say? Kim Miho explained that the apartment complex's basement had become an ideal lair for those monsters. Oren muttered about the basement, sensing the gravity of the problem existing right beneath their feet. The citizens group insisted that the number of goblins down there was countless, reaching into the thousands. Oren fell into deep thought, realizing his ability currently only covered the 30th floor, which was why the monsters could infiltrate through the tunnels. Kim Miho continued, sharing that all the building's exits connected to the parking lot, leaving them completely trapped. However, the citizens group had discovered a small, hidden alleyway at the corner of the building. That was the only escape route the citizens group had planned to sneak out through. But Oren was stunned to hear Kim Miho recount that they had encountered something even more dangerous than the goblins there. Kim Miho trembled as he remembered a terrifying shadow looking like a giant wolf or a bear. That beast was frantically slaughtering and spreading terror among the dense pack of goblins. It was the chaos caused by the beast's fighting that gave the citizens group a chance to escape. Thanks to that bloody battle, Kim Miho and the others were able to escape by the skin of their teeth. Oren mused on the mysterious beast, wondering if it was a wolf or a bear. Kim Miho shook his head sadly, confessing that it was too dark to see its true form clearly. Oren looked at Jaehyun, believing that sooner or later they would have to face this harsh reality. Oren gently confirmed. Jaehyun showed clear signs of anxiety, admitting that they seemed to have no chance of winning at all. Oren calmly looked at Jaehyun and asked why there was no chance, his gaze full of confidence. Both Jaehyun and Hanseol hung their heads, their expressions heavy with concern over the current situation. Oren confidently declared that he could solve the problem. He reached out, asking to see everyone's bows, arrows, and baseball bat. Immediately, Jaehyun handed the bow and baseball bat to Oren. A system window suddenly appeared, asking Oren if he wanted to register the items. Oren didn't hesitate and agreed to register them. He held the baseball bat, looking at the glowing system screen. After that, Oren reached out toward the bow placed on the table. Another notification popped up requesting 1,530,000 won to register the good quality recurve bow. Oren nodded in agreement, his expression unflinching. Those around him, including Jaehyun and Hanseol, stood there with jaws dropped in astonishment at Oren's actions. Oren looked down with a steady gaze and ordered 5 sets of bows and arrows. 5 brand new sets of bows and arrows appeared before Oren in a magical blue light. Oren told everyone to start practicing immediately, as they would be essential from now on. A system notification chimed, indicating that the trust of the individuals in the citizens group had increased. Oren's eyes widened, amazed by what he had just seen. He exclaimed that this was truly unbelievable. A faint smile touched Oren's lips as he realized that with these items they could save Byonggo-mun's grandmother. Another system notification appeared, stating that Byonggo-mun's trust had increased significantly. The citizens group excitedly said that the bows would help them take down goblins much faster. One individual in the group declared they didn't need the bows, while another was overjoyed that they no longer had to risk picking up arrows again. Oren raised a hand to signal them to stop, saying that before they began, they needed to thin out the number of goblins in the area. Jaehyun agrees and asks Oren when they will put the plan into motion. Oren replies decisively that they will do it tomorrow. Jaehyun, taken by surprise, asks, so soon? Jaehyun hesitantly agrees, though he still harbors some lingering doubts. Oren looks at the group, affirming that they will rescue Byonggo-mun's grandmother before the end of tomorrow. Kim Miho beams with a bright smile, filled with hope at Oren's promise. Jaehyun remains stunned, wondering to himself how Oren could possibly pull that off. Oren gazes straight ahead, his eyes filled with determination and confidence, ready for the challenge that lies ahead. Oren makes a bold decision, declaring that they need a decoy to carry out their plan. The group gathers around the table, where bows and arrows are laid out like strategic weapons. Dongjian and Gaon ponder Oren's proposal, and the atmosphere becomes tense. Gaon speaks up, noting that this plan is entirely feasible. Ju Hyuk is anxious, he just hopes everything goes according to the original plan. The system notifies Kim Jian that he has completed the mission, with a fee of 30,000 won deducted. Kim Jian is stunned by the system notification, he had no idea that completing missions would cost money. Kim Jian is taken aback, exclaiming as he realizes that money is essential to operate these missions. Kim Jian reflects, realizing that if he had surplus funds, he could use money to upgrade the citizens. But then, Kim Jian nods, deciding to save that money for truly urgent situations. The system chimes again, signaling that the subordinates' trust level in Kim Jian has significantly increased. Loyalty levels have been unlocked, and Kim Jian officially meets the requirements to register subordinates. Kim Jian doesn't hesitate, he activates the command to register his new subordinate as his support. A stream of light envelopes the subordinate, making Kim Ji-yeon startle at this sudden transformation. Kim Ji-yeon is confused, wondering what just flashed before him that made him feel so strange. The system confirms that Kim Ji-yeon has officially named his first subordinate. Not only that, but Kim Ji-yeon also receives the Summon Subordinate skill as a well-deserved reward. This skill allows him to summon subordinates to the base, but it comes with a 24-hour cooldown condition. Kim Ji-yeon unlocks a new ability, Gorilla Strength, which makes his subordinate incredibly powerful. Kim Ji-yeon curiously taps on the plus button on the notification board, wondering about its function. The system presents a choice. Does Kim Ji-yeon want to spend 1 million won to level up his subordinate? Kim Ji-yeon is shocked. The sum of 1 million won makes him groan at the cost. Kim Ji-yeon asks his subordinate how they feel now after being empowered. The subordinate replies that they feel extremely energetic, as if they have just been recharged with power. Subordinate feels as if they have regained their youth, with power surging through their veins. Oren wears a meaningful smile. His plan is progressing right on track. Oren orders Kim Ji-yeon to participate in the upcoming mission with the rest of the team. The system announces that the citizens will receive an additional 10% bonus experience points. In particular, the subordinate receives double the bonus points, helping them level up rapidly. Oren instructs Kim Ji-yeon to try and eliminate as many monsters as possible during this trip. Kim Ji-yeon smiles confidently, firmly assuring his teammates that he will complete the assigned mission well. Group enters the first floor of the building, where a heavy silence covers the scattered rubble. Dong Ji-yeon leads the group, his eyes vigilantly scanning the surroundings while Ju-hyuk and the others follow closely behind. Heavy footsteps echo throughout the hallway, signaling the presence of the hunters as they venture deeper into the danger zone. Ju-hyuk asks Dong Ji-yeon about the necessity of checking the first floor, seeing the desolate ruins around them. Dong Ji-yeon responds firmly, reminding the team of Oren's order to thoroughly clear every floor in search of survivors. The crucial mission assigned by Oren is to collect all survivors and bring them to the 30th floor. Dong Ji-yeon emphasizes the core tactic, luring the monsters inside the building to wipe them out all at once. Dong Ji-yeon turns around, his serious gaze meeting his teammates as he demands confirmation of this survival plan. Ju-hyuk and the other members nod in agreement. They fully understand the importance of gathering the survivors. Dong Ji-yeon grit his teeth and warned everyone to stay alert, as monsters could appear at any moment. The signs for rooms 101 and 102 were drenched in fresh blood, standing as grim evidence of the cruelty that had unfolded here. The group moved silently through the deathly atmosphere, with bloodstains splattered all across the hallway floor. Footsteps echoed steadily, and with every step, the tension in the air reached an unbearable level. Suddenly, a strange noise caused Dong Ji-yeon to freeze, his combat reflexes kicking in instantly. Hyeren and Gaeong could not hide their fear. They covered their mouths with their hands to stifle a terrifying scream. Dong Ji-yeon gritted his teeth to suppress his anxiety, cold sweat beginning to trickle down his tense face. Dong Ji-yeon ordered the team to retreat from the area immediately before the situation took a turn for the worse. Ju-hyuk's hand tightened around his weapon, his bulging veins revealing the intensity of his suppressed emotions. Looking at the completely destroyed room, the group couldn't help but be shocked by the brutality of the monsters. Dong Ji-yeon covered his face in frustration, admitting that the first floor had completely fallen to the enemy's attack. Despite his disappointment, Dong Ji-yeon kept his spirit up and ordered his teammates to continue toward the second floor. The sign for the second floor appeared, marking the next step in their journey to find the remaining survivors. A loud noise echoed, startling the group and causing their alertness to spike to its peak once again. Dong Ji-yeon let out a pained groan and ordered everyone to move up to the third floor immediately. The sign for the third floor appeared, and the group had no choice but to push forward. The sound of wind whistling through the corridor created an eerie noise, signaling a threat lurking nearby. The group moved quietly through the dark hallway, their eyes constantly scanning the closed doors. Dong Ji-yeon put his strength into banging hard on the door, calling out loudly to those inside in hopes of finding survivors. Gaeong followed suit, pounding on the door while the others stood guard behind her. As the frantic knocking continued, Kim Ji-yeon didn't hesitate to call out and ask if anyone was inside. The group Oren, Dong Ji-yeon, Gaeong, and Hyeren held their breath, waiting for a response from behind the door. Oren's gaze turned intense, beads of sweat rolling down his forehead. The numbers on the display board showed April 3rd, signaling the presence of survivors. The dry, mechanical sound of the lock clicked and the door slowly creaked open. Oren watched the crack in the door intently as it slowly widened. A man appeared with a haggard expression, trembling as he asked if Oren's group had really come to rescue them. Oren did not hesitate, firmly confirming their intent. Exhausted, the man begged for some water, as his thirst had plagued him for far too long. Without a moment's hesitation, Oren pulled a water bottle from his bag. Oren handed the bottle directly to him, leaving the man inside stunned. Oren patiently explained the group's objective and invited the man to join them to reach a safer place. The man remained silent, his eyes still filled with disbelief at the unexpected help from Oren. Doors slammed shut decisively. Oren and his teammates patiently waited in the hallway. The door opened once again, this time with a more welcoming attitude. The man introduced himself as Jiansu Hong and apologized to Oren for doubting them. Dong Jianha stepped forward and shook Jiansu Hong's hand to get acquainted. Dong Jianha smiled in a friendly manner and introduced himself to Jiansu Hong. Oren gave the order for Gaeong and Hairen to lead the newcomers up to the 30th floor. Jiansu Hong asks Oren in astonishment why he isn't leaving through the ground floor exit. Ju Hyuk steps out, excitedly reiterating the theory about being rescued by helicopter. Gaeong gives a wry smile and explains to everyone that there are hot meals and bathing facilities up there. Upon hearing about the shower, Yu Hairin gets so excited that she starts to blush. Gaeong beams and confirms to Yu Hairin that the water there is nice and warm. Unable to wait any longer, the group quickly begins to move. Yu Hairin urges her loved ones to get moving right away. Jiansu Hong sighs at the energy of the young ones but ultimately decides to follow them. The system suddenly issues a new notification confirming that the current number of citizens has reached 40. It doesn't stop there, another notification pops up containing important information about special privileges. All citizens will now receive a 90% increase in experience points and item drop rates. The system announces that the current number of citizens has reached the 40-person milestone. A notification bell rings out, granting the citizens a buff that increases EXP gain and item drop rates by 90%. Oren glances at the system notification board, confirming the count of 40 citizens now under his command. To ensure their safety, Oren has arranged for the elderly and children to stay in a secure location. Meanwhile, the young and healthy ones are gathered in the hallway to prepare for the next phase of the plan. Byong-go-mon confirms to Oren that all 40 people in the building have been accounted for. Byong-go-mon reports that they searched up to the 29th floor, but many people didn't make it back when the disaster began. Oren blinks, activating a special skill to survey the bustling scene at the shelter. The Ultimate Eyes skill is activated, allowing Oren to see through every corner. With the power of Ultimate Eyes radiating, Oren controls wisps of shadows to envelop those around him. Byong-go-mon feels the surge of dark energy wrapping around him, tension clearly etched on his face. Oren focuses intensely, the flow of shadow energy surging in accordance with his gaze. Oren wears a cryptic smile and declares the start of the second phase of the goblin hunt. Oren's eyes are cold and sharp, radiating confidence now that the plan is in motion. The title of the plan is officially recorded by the system. Oren gathers everyone in the hallway and demands their full attention. Byong-go-mon crosses his arms and begins to outline the combat strategy. Their objective is to lure all the goblins from the underground parking lot to an open area to annihilate them. Everyone listens intently, weapons at the ready. Byong-go-mon points to the basement map, identifying the starting point at floor B1. They will split into 2 squads to clear the B1 level before descending further. Afterward, the army will continue to advance to clear out the B2 level. A member raises a hand to question the feasibility of the plan. This member worries that the actual number of goblins might exceed their estimates. He is anxious that the group might get trapped on the first floor, hindered by the piles of goblin corpses. A female archer confidently asserts that she can wipe them all out thanks to their abundant supply of arrows. Although still concerned, the other member accepts the answer. Suddenly, a roar echoes through the air, forcing everyone to turn around. A thunderous roar resonates, grotesque monsters with glowing red eyes swarm in, signaling a bloody attack. Without a moment's hesitation, Byong-go-mon immediately draws his bow, the arrow piercing the air at maximum speed. A dry, metallic thud echoes as the arrow pierces its target, creating a powerful shockwave. The monsters do not stop, they rush forward frantically, indifferent to their falling kin. Oren does not flinch, he raises his weapon, channeling his full strength into a lethal strike. A harsh, clashing sound rings out as Oren delivers a finishing blow straight to the enemy's head, sending blood splattering. The monster's corpse collapses onto the floor, ending a life in the blink of an eye. Oren stands there, coldly looking down at the monsters neatly dispatched at his feet. Byong-go-mon asks about the abandoned bow, but Oren only responds with calm indifference. Suddenly, Byong-go-mon points ahead, stunned by the strange phenomenon occurring before them. Before their eyes, the corpses that just fell are gradually dissolving into thin air. Magical lightning surrounds the area, accelerating the decomposition of the monster's remains. Oren is stunned, wondering if this is truly Byong-go-mon's unique ability. Byong-go-mon looks excited, urging the group to quickly descend to the next basement level. Oren thinks to himself that, as expected, Byong-go-mon always has a solution for every difficult situation. A system notification pops up showing that the trust level of the citizens has increased significantly. Oren calmly twists the cap off his water bottle, preparing for the next steps. A series of system notifications flood in at this crucial moment. Oren takes a sip of water, telling himself that even though he didn't orchestrate it, everything is unfolding too perfectly. The system confirms that Byung-go-mun has met the requirements to become a vassal. Oren is bewildered, everything is happening so fast in just a few short hours. Nevertheless, Oren quickly dismisses his doubts, seeing this as a great opportunity to expand his forces. Byung-go-mun's detailed information panel appears, confirming that his loyalty level has exceeded the threshold. Oren is stunned, unable to believe that Byung-go-mun's loyalty is this high. Oren sighs in relief, telling himself that this is, at the very least, a good thing for the future. Oren smiles triumphantly, he has grasped the perfect moment to register Byung-go-mun as his vassal. The door to the B1F basement trembles violently, signaling that a new threat is lurking. A terrifying roar echoes from the darkness, the new enemy has officially appeared. A precise strike lands squarely on the target, the dry sound of impact ringing out with power. Oren is shocked as blue electricity engulfs his hand, as if he had just activated some strange power. Byung-go-mun and Deoksu look at Oren in astonishment, the group completely unable to understand what is happening. Blue light flashes violently, tearing through the space in an instant. Howls echo all around, the monsters are rushing forward in a frenzy. A blinding blast of light erupts among the monsters, leaving them caught off guard. In the pitch-black darkness, rows of glowing red eyes are glaring at them. Not giving the monsters a chance to react, Oren darts forward with terrifying speed. Monsters panic, scrambling to find a way to escape from the overwhelming pressure. Deoksu shouts loudly, urging Byung-go-mun and Oren to seize this opportunity to flee immediately. Oren leads the way, and the group pours all their strength into a sprint toward the emergency stairs. Byung-go-mun, Deoksu, and Oren run while staying alert, ready to strike if their path is blocked. Successive blows rain down on the monsters' heads, blood splattering through the air. Oren's eyes are sharp and cold, he is fully focused on the path ahead. With agile movements, Oren, Byung-go-mun, and Deoksu sweep through the monsters blocking their path. Monster is knocked to the floor, the heavy sound of impact ringing out with force. The whirlwind of combat knocks the monsters over, creating a chaotic pile. The chaos reaches its peak as the monsters collide with one another, creating a chain reaction of destruction. Oren frantically realizes that the number of enemies is completely overwhelming the group's ability to defend. Oren orders Byung-go-mun and Deoksu to quickly head toward the emergency stairs before they get surrounded. The group puts all their effort into a race against time. Oren, Byung-go-mun, and Deoksu rush toward the escape door, their only hope of breaking out of the encirclement. One by one, they quickly pass through the threshold, their breathing heavy with tension. The door slams shut right in front of the monsters as they desperately reach out to get inside. The relentless assault from the other side of the door forces Deoksu to use every ounce of his strength to hold it back. Oren, Byung-go-mun, and Deoksu join forces, throwing their entire body weight against the trembling door. The monsters claw at the door in a frenzy, the sound of their screeching claws echoing chillingly. Door rattles violently, the situation is becoming dire. Oren shoves Byung-go-mun and Deoksu aside, determined to face the pressure all on his own. A passive skill is activated, and a surge of blue energy engulfs Oren. Oren pours all his power into a punch, unleashing a massive explosion of blue energy. Chaos ensues, Byung-go-mun screams Oren's name, urging him to get out of there quickly. As the monsters roar, Oren uses his absolute limit to barricade the door against their insane onslaught. Oren's face hardens, sweat dripping down his brow as he struggles under the immense pressure. His strength fading, Oren cannot hold back a pained groan as he is pushed into a corner. Despite the danger, Oren tells himself he must see this through because no one else can take his place. Byung-go-mun turns back, his expression full of worry yet firm, urging Oren to let go and retreat with them. Oren responds with grim determination, twisting his body in preparation for his next move. The moment he lets go, Oren shoots forward like an arrow through the narrow space. Byung-go-mun quickly races up the stairs, leading the group in a desperate escape. A sudden trip sends Oren sprawling to the ground just as the monsters surge out from behind. Facing certain death, Oren shouts at the others to leave him behind and run. Byung-go-mun curses in frustration, unable to bring himself to abandon his teammate. A powerful gust of wind sweeps through as Byung-go-mun swings into action. Byung-go-mun lands a precise strike, blood spraying as the enemy is taken down in a flash. Clutching his weapon tightly, Byung-go-mun repeatedly urges Oren to get up immediately. The monsters swarm around Oren, forcing a cry of pain from him. Grotesque hands of the monsters grab hold of Oren, refusing to let him escape. Byung-go-mun swings his weapon in a deadly arc, clearing the monsters clinging to Oren. Byung-go-mun stands stunned, unable to believe what he has just witnessed. The roar of the monsters leaves Byung-go-mun shaken to his core. A monster lunges from above, aiming directly for Byung-go-mun. Byongo-mun quickly counters his powerful blow, sending the monster flying into the distance. Deoksu and his team coordinate seamlessly, firing arrows to provide cover and clear their path for retreat. Byongo-mun seizes the opportunity, moving fluidly through the swarm of monsters. Byongo-mun shouts out, urging Deoksu and the others to keep pushing forward. Deoksu remains hyper-focused, his face steely as he draws his bow for the next strike. Deoksu's teammate yells loudly, his expression filled with the intensity of a life-or-death battle. Byongo-mun charges into the thick of the monster horde, determined to carve out the path ahead.